I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my special full Wolf Moon in Leo report, January 25th, 2024. Yes, I'm back on camera. Nice to, I guess, be seen by you and to know that you're out there and we're connecting this way. It's been a while. So if you're not familiar with my work, then I will let you know that my intention for doing this is to help you align with the natural rhythms of the universe. The more you understand the layers of energetic potentials about the starry experiences, the more you can make the most of the possibilities. So I also like to work in layers. So we start with simple layers that build to add more juiciness to the picture so that you can have more understanding and make the most of everything. So we're going to talk about this full moon, this wolf moon in Leo. I've been calling it Wolf Moon Boom. You also can see more about this moon in my January reports for each sign, but this is going to be a deep dive in this report here. Okay, so I'm calling the theme of this moon a celestial showstopper, and it really is. You know, the energy of Leo is associated with theater and theatrics and drama, and so the energetics of showstopper, you know, I think is really relevant here. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about with full moons is the timeline of the experience of it. On a normal full moon, we start really feeling that insomnia, the edginess, the, fullness, the stress sometimes, the excitement, 2 or 3 days before the moon. So that would put it, like the 22nd of January. However, this moon is power-packed with a conjunction with Pluto. It's a conjunction to the sun in opposition to the moon. And then we have a Mars and Chiron aspect happening concurrently. So we are going to go into all of these layers and what the potentials are from this. But I want to tell you from the beginning that because of these energetics, it actually expands the time frame that you might start feeling this moon. So if you're a week out or more out and you're starting to feel like whacked out and you can't sleep and you have insomnia and you're agitated or you're excited, it's probably because of this combination of aspects, okay? So you will be feeling this sooner before the moon than usual, and you will feel it longer after the moon than usual. All moons have a cycle of 28 days of manifestation with their processes, of course. That's a moon cycle. But then we also add to it a 13 moon cycle. Whenever we have a full moon or a new moon, the energetics that happen at that time also have a secondary layer of having a 13 moon effect. Okay, so things that happen now, things that you instigate, things that occur, things that you discover, can have some sort of storyline that extends out that far. Okay, so this full moon is at 5 degrees of Leo. So that means that any fire signs, so basically Sag and Aries people who are early degrees, so March born Aries, November born Sag, you all are actually going to receive trines, which is the most favorable aspect in all of astrology, from this moon. And if you have a Leo placement that is a July born Leo, then you will also get probably the biggest boom, right? Because you'll have a conjunction. A conjunction is when it's exact or very close together. So, and if you know your chart and you know that you have planets, 5 degrees is the degree that we're looking for here. Now, air signs, you'll get nice aspects. Gemini and Libra, you'll get nice aspects, especially the early born versions of your placement. And then, of course, if you are an Aquarius and you are early born, so January born, you'll get a direct opposition. Okay, so that's going to definitely be intense. Water signs and earth signs, they don't, there's additional, we'll say, awkward and in some cases challenged aspects here for you with this moon. But none of this has to make anyone nervous. Education and information can help us to avoid pitfalls and to just know that sometimes there are points of conflict. Diamonds are made by pressure, right? So sometimes a point of conflict is exactly what we need to crack us out into a new experience, to push us along. Maybe we're in a comfort zone and we need to have something instigated. Maybe we've been procrastinating or we're lazy about something. And this is an amazing time because not only is this moon positioned with all of this energy that we're going to talk about, it's also now in the period of time where we're done with the Mercury retrograde post retrograde transit, and we're emerging into a time on the 27th of January where all of the planets will be going direct until May 2nd. I'm going to do a separate report on that, but I just want to help you understand the layer of the magnitude of this moon, because if something is instigated, if you're so uncomfortable that you have to take action, if a wonderful opportunity comes, this is a really great time. The stars are all saying, let's move forward. You've got green lights from the stars. Okay, so regardless of what challenges come, you can make lemonade out of this, and understanding these layers can help you to do that. Okay, so let's go into our next layer. In general, we'll just talk about full moon expressions, and then we'll add all the layers to it. Full moons tend to bring fullness, completion, fruition, drama, elucidation, a light shining on something that had been hidden. And so we will see all of that. The drama can be exciting. It can be something manifesting that you've been wanting, or the drama can be stressful. You know, Leo is the most dramatic of all of the signs, for better and worse. And so when we have this fullness in this energetic, then we really notice it. You know, it's big, everything is over the top. So the next layer is that we've got the full moon in Leo. Okay, so now we're going to add the sign. So some ways that you can use a full moon in Leo, I like to call it reveal and release, okay? Because when we have something come to our awareness, sometimes it's something cool, like an insight. Sometimes it's something not cool, like a discovery about something that's been a problem. However, that information can lead to action, which can change everything. But there are some ways that you can use this full moon directly in line with the energetics of Leo. Now, this is something that I learned from brilliant astrologer Jan Spiller. She talked about aligning your moon time activities with the energetics or the things ruled by the sign in, that's in process here. So anything that you do along the lines of Leo, and you use it consciously that way, it can go out further because there's a match there, there's a resonance, okay? So one thing you can do with this full moon to take advantage of it is express your creativity. This is a time to be bold, it's a time for leadership, it's a time where, adventure and, the energetics of relationships, the spark of a relationship. Leo rules the whole storyline of the spark of romance and new love that blossoms into romantic connection that can move into the process of children and everything that goes along with that. Childbirth, child rearing, the whole spark of everything like that. And childlike wonder. So the excitement that children see life through is all that energy of Leo. So it's a very robust type of energy, and it's a really great time to focus on yourself. Leo is a sign that is fixed. It draws energy to itself. That's part of why they're so magnetic. People want to watch them on YouTube. People want to see them, because there's a draw to that energy. And so when we have that going on, everybody gets a boost in their personal magnetism. And you have a really good chance to practice self-care and self-love because it's very much, a fixed pulling in focus. I also call the energy of Leo the bucket list energy because this is really, it's ruled by the sun, and the sun represents what we want. So it's very exciting, and it's a very great time to plan or to try to implement things that you've always wanted to do that really lift your passions and make you feel on fire in a good way. You can also express gratitude and generosity. Leo the lion is known to be very generous, and you can receive generosity from other people. This is an amazing time to express and embrace playfulness and joy. I talked about the childlike wonder. So, letting your inner child play is a really great way to use this energy. I mentioned before the energy of boldness. Okay, so there is this, bold fierceness that Leo has, and this is a time to set bold intentions, to make bold, kind of have your manifesto sent. This is what I want to accomplish in life. And it's really exciting too, because we are in the new year, and sometimes people like to align creating, over the next year with this period of time. So you've got a lot of great energy for that. Anything that involves self-expression. Okay, so now let's add in the next layer. Oh, and by the way, if you're dating and looking for true love, this energetic could be helpful, very helpful. And also, if you are already in the relationship with the person you want to be, this can add zest to your relationship. And like I said, it could bring some points of conflict, but getting through those conflicts could add to a lot of passion, a lot of juiciness. So, there's definitely a spectrum. All right, now the next layer, let's talk about Pluto. Pluto is sitting here 5 degrees away from the whole thing. And there's an opposition, there's a conjunction, all of this is going on. A conjunction is meaning it's right next to something. And then an opposition is meaning it's opposite something. Okay, so when we add in the layer of Pluto, we've got deep personal transformations. Okay, that's one of the major things that we know. Pluto rules death and birth and transformation and rebirth. Sometimes it is literal, but a lot of times it's figurative. The death of something, an old way of doing something in order for something new to be born. If you imagine a site, and it's a terrible thing to imagine, but there is a positive thing to this. Imagine a site like I've seen pictures of Chernobyl, where there were, radioactive, still radioactive energy there, and the explosion was there a long time ago. Terrible situation. That's very Plutonian, right? Radioactivity is Plutonian. Pluto was discovered in the same time era as, as that energy really started to get going. And, it holds those energetics. But now, if you see it, it's like a forest that's covered with, fresh growth. So, there's still the echo of the past there, but there's that fresh growth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So we have that energetic. And this can have to do with power dynamics and leadership. So power struggles, or getting on the same page with someone and using your energy with theirs to make something synergistic. We also have very intense emotional expression. So I already talked about the level of intensity from the drama from just the Leo potentials, but now you add in Pluto, and that is a whole different level of drama. Now, if you're a thespian or you're doing something in the arts, this can really add a lot of zest to your expression. Anything can be intensified at this time. So if you're doing something that's not good, then know that it could go further than you intend it to go, and you want to be careful of that. This isn't the time to experiment with something that's dangerous, because it definitely could be more dangerous. But the energetics also rule empowerment and renewal. Okay, so now let's add in the next layer, which is we have a square with Mars and Chiron. Now, I have been periodically putting up the chart, okay, so that you can see the aspects here, and I have them pointed out. So if you're a person that likes to follow along, then you can, have a peek at the chart. So when we add in the layers of Mars in a square, this is a conflicted aspect with Chiron, we've got challenges in assertiveness and action, okay? So Mars rules action, Chiron is a wounded healer, the energetics together in a tenuous form here really can lead to having to do something and not doing it, trying to do something and not being able to do it because of obstacles or other things, or some other kind of, wound or like a place where a wound or a vulnerability will hinder action. And it's something that you have to get through. If you have a certain issue with self-esteem, or like an Achilles heel, this is very much related to our Achilles heel, where Achilles was dipped into the waters of eternality, but was held by his heel to dip in. And that was the only part that didn't get eternal protection. And that's, was his downfall. So this is that thing, that one thing that we cover up intentionally or unintentionally, and it's going to come out. So the good news about it is that the elucidation of the full moon time can really bring something to light that has been a huge problem for you, so that you can see it, you can greet it. A lot of times once we see these things, they're not as scary as the anticipation of wondering what could be in there, in that dark chest of our subconscious mind. The next thing that this square can bring are definitely opportunities for healing through courageous actions. Now, while I was saying before, it's not a time to be reckless or dangerous, that doesn't have to equate with courage. Having the courage to do this crazy jump that's highly dangerous is not the courage that I'm encouraging. I'm encouraging the courage for this self-expression, for this breaking through issues of perceptions of others to get to the core of your true feeling about yourself. And you have a lot of energy here for that. The topic of emotional sensitivity and conflict. So basically, things that trigger emotional wounds for yourself or others may come up very strongly. This is a time where people may get offended by something that you say, or that you may get offended by something that someone else says. Now, while these types of energetics can polarize and pit people against each other, like you did this to me, you're the tyrant, I'm the victim, and there are definitely cases, right, where we have a tyrant and a victim. I'm not, we are in a third dimensional experience at the same time as we're in a multi-dimensional reality where we are experiencing things on a lot of different levels. And there are victims and tyrants in the third dimension. But we can use this energy to explore the other dimensions to get some insights about this dynamic to try to help change our magnetism to these types of storylines. Okay, so this aspect is great for that. The topic of physical and emotional boundaries is also very important. Mars rules our physical self, and Chiron rules the places where we're vulnerable. So places where we have not been cared for, and there's a lot of normal patterns in human behavior, like making someone kiss their creepy uncle because they don't want to be embarrassed, if the parent doesn't want to be embarrassed by, how the uncle may feel. This is just a small example of things that are common in society that tell children you don't get to have a boundary if something makes you feel uncomfortable with your body, and then that lends itself to other violations or drawing in violations of a physical nature. These stones are set very early on. And sometimes we do have to go back to our childhood to heal the wounds that are still recurring now, because patterns echo out from our first 7 years. So this is a time where we can explore those boundaries and see how we can make positive shifts through psychotherapy, through any kind of healing modality. And there are so many possibilities of how you can heal this, but opening up to the healing of this and the awareness of this is one of the things that this aspect will offer. And then we have the layer of balancing self-compassion with assertion. Okay, so there's this dance here of I should be doing this, and now I'm not doing this, and now I'm going to be mean to myself about it. Or I shouldn't do this, and now I'm going to be mean to myself about it. And, sort of sorting out how we can be gentler to ourselves while not fostering procrastination and while not sort of rewarding things that are part of a negative dynamic. Okay, so there are all of those things going on there. Okay, so I think we've done a very nice layering process to help you understand the energetics. You'll be feeling this very strongly even as of January 17th. It will go through even February 1st. This is a long energetic. You might even feel it before and after that. These are like the core time when it's happening. The closer to the 25th, the more you're going to feel this boom. If you want to understand more layers of what's going on in January, you can see my January reports on YouTube. AnnieHelpsYouTV.com is the website to get there. I know you might already be there, but just in case, if you're listening on the podcast version, some of these things I syndicate to my podcast. If they're a shorter term thing, sometimes they don't wind up making it up to my podcast. But in general, my horoscopes are also on my podcast. So if you search for Astro Kisses with Annie Botticelli, you can find that. If you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, you can find more free goodies that I make for you. And if you're interested in astrology education, you definitely want to see all of my free offerings and sign up for my VIP community, where I give you multiple reminders during the month of how you can use energetics that are at play, different things that I talk about in the public report, so you get a really nice, thorough, comprehensive approach to using the stars for your benefit. And if you want to go deeper, you can see my astrology certification course at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. If you think I put a lot into my free offerings, and I do, you should see what I put into that course. It definitely will help you be prepared for whatever you want to do with astrology. I hope you have a wonderful, magnificent, as smooth and graceful as possible full moon, and I'll see you in the next report. Bye.